So I have always known that I was meant to have been a character in a period British drama. I recognized it the first time I read Jane Eyre, and I pursued this interest in college by majoring in British literature, writing my thesis on Jane Austen, and yes, because I know you're all wondering, I am a card-carrying member of the Jane Austen Society. But this story is about the time that I met Ralph Fiennes. Now, these moments when I can meet characters from my stories are when I really realize my dream. But the only problem you need to be aware of is that when I meet celebrities, I go gob-smackingly starstruck and I cannot make words come out of my mouth. The first time this was instantiated was in college when I rushed up after my favorite improv team did their best show ever, and I rushed up to congratulate the actor, and what I told him was, I earned the nickname Chewbacca. So it actually was an improvement when I ran into Ciarán Hinds one day. Many of you may not know who Ciarán Hinds is, but Ciarán Hinds was Mr. Rochester in Persuasion, which is my favorite Jane Austen, next to Pride and Prejudice. God help me if I ever meet Colin Firth. But when I met Ciarán Hinds there at the Amish market in the theater district, I told him, now, apparently that's memorable because in my daily errands running around my neighborhood, which was also his neighborhood while he was starring in a Broadway show, he got to see this quite frequently. And was it my imagination, or did he start crossing the street to the other side when he saw me coming? But I digress. This is the story of the time that I met Ralph Fiennes. This was about 15 years ago, and my roommate at the time worked at a really posh restaurant where the very posh British people would come and have very posh cocktails. I get a call one day at work, my friend Susan. Anna, tell me everything that you remember about Coriolanus. I had recently seen Coriolanus at BAM. Do any of you know what BAM is? BAM is the Brooklyn Academy of Music. It'll be good for you to remember this in a little bit. Ralph Fiennes had stumbled into her very posh restaurant that day, and she wanted to impress him with the insightful comments that her friend had had about Coriolanus. Now, of course, it was a British period drama. I had insights to offer. She phoned me back an hour later to tell us that not only had we secured seats to the show, free tickets, we had backstage passes. Wow. Now, if this ever happens to any of you, you do not need to bring your binoculars, because when the star of the show gives you tickets, they're in the front row, not the nosebleeds where you are used to sitting. And if you choose to use these binoculars to capture every nuance of their expression, it actually reflects the stage lights into their eyes, and the expression that you see is... But it was fantastic. You show up to the stage door. Someone has your name on a clipboard, which you say loudly to the masses. And you see them look like searching their brains. Should I know this name? Anna Trester. Why is she going backstage? She must be famous. So they give you a little smile, half hoping that if you are famous, you might choose to bring them back with you, but you don't. And they hand you champagne. And you saunter back to Mr. Fiennes' dressing room, where you meet the very beautiful woman that used to be his costume designer on another production, and the very beautiful woman that was his English teacher back at school, and the very beautiful woman that is going to be the director of his next show. And you start to notice that there's a pattern when you and your friend show up as well. And I think her stock started rising as these other women revealed that they were gay or married, or both. I saw his affections increase towards my friend Susan. This could have been her night, except she brought me with her. So Mr. Fiennes says to me, well, what'd you think the second time? what'd you think of my performance? And I took a sip of champagne. And Susan said, well, we thought you really connected with your character. And I said, connected with your character! She looks at me, continues, I thought the costuming was exquisitely rendered. And I said, exquisitely rendered! At which point, people started deciding that I must have been backstage by virtue of some Make-A-Wish Foundation. She shunts me to the other side of the dressing room, where actually, lo and behold, the co-star of the play, nobody's noticing him. Linus Roche is over there taking off his makeup. Now, Linus Roche, I know him best from Wings of the Dove, which is only sort of period and only sort of British. So it was actually like a conduit for me. I could talk to this person. We struck off a conversation. He ended up inviting me to his discussion later on in the week. Now, BAM, my people over here that know BAM, when they have a theater production, they invite the stars to come lead discussions of other works of theirs. So Linus Roche had been in a play, in a movie called Priest, and he was hosting a discussion, a Q&A, down the way. But this was about 15 years ago in Brooklyn. Down the way was a little bit more dangerous of a neighborhood. And I knew this theater best as the theater where I had seen Y Tu Mamá También, when, during the polyamorous love scene, my neighbor shouted, "Hey," to me, and I looked over, and he had a flashlight to show me how much he was enjoying the film. Okay, now, I don't know if you know this about Priest, but it actually was banned in the US for a while for its graphically explicit homosexual sex scenes. And it was during one such very graphic sex scene that, lo and behold, some man comes in 3/4 into the movie, so you know he's up to no good. Slumps in the seat next to me and proceeds to stare at me. And then all of a sudden, of course, hey, and this is not happening. You are not ruining my chance to talk to Linus Roche, my new best friend. And I say, I'm not interested, buddy. Scoot over, like 3 seats, safe distance for me to sit and glare at him for the rest of the production. The lights come up, and of course that was Linus Roche, who had remembered me from our bonding a few nights before, but now chose not to remember me. And as I slunked away that evening, I remembered back to what started this whole thing. It was a love of books. And I think I'm gonna have to just retreat to the land of books to pursue my particular obsession, because books don't fall to pieces if you gawp at them at the Amish market on 9th Avenue. Books do not require ego stroking from a bevy of beautiful women. And books do not yell hey at you when you're trying to enjoy a movie with a flashlight or not.